Coming up on this week's Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, we kick off the 2017 season with a look back at the Super Bowl of bass fishing as we head to Lake Conroe outside of Houston, Texas, where Anglers Channel Pro staffer and contributor Vance McCullough and guide Greg West give their take from the water and weigh-in stage on this year's exciting Bassmasters Classic. Plus all that you come to expect, the Sportsman's Warehouse product spotlights, Strike King Pro Tip of the Week, and much, much more. Let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome to the first show of the 2017 season. I'm your host John Byrne, and here on the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, we host tournaments big and small all across the country. But this first week, we thought we'd kick it off with the Super Bowl of bass fishing, the Bassmasters Classic down in the great state of Texas.
Well, Greg, we're here on day one of the Bassmaster Classic on Lake Conroe. The big debate's been about the phase the fish are in. Are they spawning, pre-spawn, post-spawn? What are things happening? You know, what's going on Lake Fork, and how do you think that translates to down here?
Man, I think this is going to be a great classic. Back at Fork right now, which I know we're just, about 150 miles away, we've already got fish on beds. We've got fish in pre-spawn, post-spawn, and everywhere in between, and I think we've got the exact same thing happening here at Conroe. All this structure, all this cover you have in here, we're going to have fish moving in and out of this stuff.
We got a little bit of all that back in here. You got a little channel swing comes in. You got beautiful pad fields already starting to grow some pads on top of the stems and green up. And I mean, it just looks like the kind of place where, I don't know, Greg Hackney come in here, or anybody wants to throw a frog or flip or swim a jig, and you can do it all back in a place like this.
This place is loaded with some flooded timber, pad stems, a little bit of grass. There's a ton of bait back here. Conroe's going to put on a show.
Yeah, you see the birds eating the bait back in here. We got somebody fishing back here behind us on the boat ramp. Is this Charlie Hartley coming out?
It looks like it's Charlie Hartley coming out. In fact, there's Charlie himself, so it looks like he's already been back here, and so it's going to be an interesting classic.
I wonder if we can get a word with Charlie as he swings by. Let me see if he'll tell me anything. Anything? Nothing? Nah, telling us a big zero back in there on the first stop of the morning. So Charlie's sticking with that spinner bait. Obviously, you'd assume that's what he's throwing back on that ramp first thing in the morning, and now he's working out here in the pads.
Yeah, this is great. This is typical textbook here. Charlie's coming in here, throwing a quick buzz bait over the top of these pads real quick. Any type of shad spawn that may be going on, he can get a big blow-up bite, maybe get him a big bite to start his day off right here in the morning. Man, this is your just typical 101 textbook spot that I would look for here in the springtime. This is the major back end of a major creek. We've got a bridge that comes through, so that right there is going to funnel these fish in. And back here, you just have a giant spawning flat. We've got good water depth. The water temp back here is actually 74 degrees. I wouldn't be surprised if these fish have been back here for quite some time. We've got some little ditches and drains that run through here, a major feeder creek running in. I'll tell you what, if I was fishing the Bassmaster Classic, this would be a place I'd be.
According to Bass Track right now, Greg, Jesse is scrambling. He has no fish, and he's 16 pounds behind the early leader, Cliff Crochet. So he's in scramble mode right now, trying to find something, I suppose.
This is Lake Conroe. We're here in Texas. You pull up on one spot like this, and you can get good in a hurry. All it takes is one 5, 6, 7 pounder out here, and scrap the rest of your limit, and you're in.
Well, Greg, we found Carhartt Pro Jordan Lee from Alabama here out on, what's this, a big old main lake point we got?
Man, it looks like a main lake point. There may be some rock or some flooded timber down here as well. And it's Conroe. No matter what time of year you're here, whether it's pre-spawn or post-spawn, these fish do eat a crankbait. So you're going to see a lot of guys out here probably throwing a Strike King 4 or 5 and 6XD trying to get a bigger bite.
Well, you get a look at that boat right there, you can just tell how much wind Jordan Lee and all these guys fishing the main lake are having to contend with today.
Absolutely. You know, wind is always your friend, though, this time of year. You know, it'll disguise your bait a lot better for the guys that are up there fishing shallow. It's going to blow shad and lull the bait fish up on these main lake points. You know, the wind is your friend. Unfortunately, here at Lake Conroe, you know, when you get a 10 to 20 mile an hour wind, it's going to get rough.
Later that afternoon, the entire field of 52 anglers came in for the day one weigh-in at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Jordan Lee, whom we saw fighting the wind out on the big lake, brought just 3 fish to the scale for an 8-pound, 6-ounce start. Cliff Perch brought 20 pounds, 11 ounces to the stage. That was a good start. It put him in 5th place on the first day. Then Mike Iaconelli weighed in with an impressive 5 bass limit that weighed 21 pounds, 2 ounces. Cliff Crochet had a limit that put him 6 ounces ahead of Iaconelli at 21.8. Bradley Roy settled into 2nd place with a 5 bass limit that weighed 22.1. The leader on day one was Brent Ayler with an impressive 23-pound, 3-ounce limit. That's your top 5 heading into day 2 of the Bassmasters Classic on Lake Conroe.
We'll have more from this year's Bassmasters Classic, as well as the Strike King Pro Tip of the Week. Stay with us.
The Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, sponsored by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time, by Strike King Lure Company, #1 in fishing lures, and by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
I'm freezing.
Well, I told you to bring a warmer jacket.
When?
Every day since you could walk. Now I just say it with my eyes, like...
Folks, Park Ranger Mark,
Sup, bro? Hey, Forest Cop.
you're taking up a lot of space. I'm gonna need you to move a vehicle.
Todd, load the four-wheeler into the truck. That's like bundling, because Progressive can bundle your boat, ATV, and RV with your truck to save you money. Don't talk to her. She has rabies.
Rabies was created by the government. Look it up. Who are you people?
Yay, Grandpa's still alive.
I don't want to buy any cookies, little girl.
From bass and walleye to crappie and the great outdoors, no one has ever built aluminum boats like these from Ranger. They're packed with standard features. The ride is super smooth, they're whisper quiet and incredibly stable. Check out the difference in quality, performance, and room in a Ranger aluminum design. America's fastest growing aluminum line. No matter what you're after on the water, these rigs are engineered to excel and priced to be yours.
Every time we go fishing, you know we gotta tie one on.
In all honesty, when do I not tie one on?
Every time I go on the water, I love to tie one on.
Every day of the week, I like to tie one on.
You may not know this about me, but every once in a while, I've been known to tie one on.
Come on, man. Join the Strike King team. All you gotta do is tie one on.
I think I always tie one on.
It's about bass fishing and bass fishing tournaments. From the grassroots weekend angler to the pro-am and professional events, it's all on anglerschannel.com. Anglers Channel is your source for tournament news and results from across the country. Gear and equipment reviews, lake guides, pro tips, product highlights, and more. anglerschannel.com. Find out the latest patterns and strategies that are working on your home lake and across the country. Bookmark anglerschannel.com and be connected to the source for all things bass.
Good fishing requires focus. If you're worried about all the things that can go wrong, you're distracted, and your performance will show it. Sign and Glide is a much improved version of the on-water towing coverage that most boat insurance companies offer, and it came from the direct feedback and insights of progressive boaters like you and me. The previous on-water towing coverage was essentially a reimbursement coverage, which means boaters were responsible for finding a tow operator, paying the operator out of pocket, and then requesting reimbursement from Progressive. Sign and Glide now offers expanded assistance while on the water for only $30 to $50 per year. The new coverage goes far beyond just towing needs to also include jump starts, fuel delivery, and soft ungroundings if your boat becomes disabled on the water. The best part is Progressive arranges for the tow and usually pays the tow operator directly, so you typically pay nothing out of pocket.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to this week's Strike King Pro Tip of the Week. Strike King Pro Staff brothers Matt and Jordan Lee tell us about some of the great baits they use from Strike King.
Hey guys, Jordan Lee, my brother Matt. We're here gonna go through some new products from Strike King. We got a lot of new stuff out we're excited about, and we're just gonna show y'all what's new and what we think is gonna work for y'all. So we'll start it off. This is the new Poppin' Perch. It's a poppin' style frog. It's a unique frog. You know, I had never seen one like this on the market. I don't think you have either. Just some unique stuff about this frog. We have a little small hole in the top of the frog, and this is going to allow the frog to collapse easier when a fish bites it, and you're going to catch more fish. Every time that fish presses down on it, those hooks are really going to show, and you catch more fish because of it. On the back towards the hooks, I've thrown frogs for years. All different kinds of frogs growing up, and one thing I always had problems with was water getting into the frog, and we always would we would go through so many frogs, but this frog you're going to be able to allow to use it for a long time, and the water's not going to fill up since that's welded. This frog really works good, and it'll stay in one place, and that's what's good about it, is when you're walking this bait, it's not going to be jumping back at you. It's going to walk back and forth, and it's just going to stay in the strike zone longer. And we throw this a lot around grass, anything when you're fishing shallow cover, in spring and fall, through the summer too. This is when it's going to work good. So really excited about it, and check it out.
Find the products the Lee brothers showed you and the very latest baits at StrikeKing.com. Let's join Greg and Vance for day 2 of the Bassmasters Classic down on Lake Conroe.
2, 1, they're counting it down, man. The crowd's big and out of control. Do you see that line of traffic getting here this morning, Greg?
Unbelievable, man.
Day 2, takeoff.
Unbelievable. Bassmaster Classic, day 2. We're here at Lake Conroe. I'm excited to get out on the water and see what these guys can do. I think you're going to see the shallow game come out big today. So I'm excited to get out on the water and see what these guys can do.
Had a fun little run chasing old Cliff Crochet up here to the very north end of this lake. And Greg, what's he doing here?
Looks like we got a little bit of water lily grass. We have a lot of standing laydowns and some isolated standing timber up here. I'll be honest, it looks phenomenal up here. Water temperature is great, and man, right now he's got a frog in his hand and he's just covering some waters.
I tell you, Greg, it's a beautiful morning right here, and we're watching Cliff throw this frog right up to the edge of that green stuff, and he seems to have him dialed in because there, he got a bite,
There you go, Cliff's on, that one right there looks like it'll be a keeper.
That'd be great. Just as I say that, he's got them like dialed in. He knows where they are, and he's working that frog very methodically in place, and then he's getting it back in, not working through that dead water, and then he's making another cast right there where he knows they're at.
He's got some type of flooded grass and some flooded willows up here. And the best part about this, it's got to feel great for Cliff, is he's got it to himself.
The topwater bite is on this morning.
Got it.
Crochet is hooked up again with looks like a good fish. Look at that fight.
Oh, man.
Look at that. That's a good fish.
Seems to be what we're seeing way up here at the north end of Conroe is a lot of these guys are picking up 1 or 2 rods, but mainly the flipping stick. These guys are probably fishing 20 to 25 pound line, putting on a lightweight and a big hook, and they're flipping something like the Strike King structure bug, and they're going, and you can see all the cover here behind me. A lot of these fish are either in spawn or post-spawn, or they just live up here in these bushes. This is springtime here in Texas. You gotta have the flipping stick, and these guys have been putting this rod to work here all week. Another thing you're gonna see that's really gonna come into play is a frog bite. These guys are, Cliff Crochet, one of our guys, it's a frog is his deal. That's how he's putting these fish in the boat. Right here, I've got the Strike King frog tied on. White or black in the springtime is always a great color to use. Really, when you choose your frog here in the springtime, just keep it simple. With a little bit of a shad spawn bite going on, I'd probably have a white one tied on myself. And they're using the big rods. Like here, I've got mine on a 7.3 heavy Fitzgerald, and I've got 65 pound braid on. And this is the meat stick right here, but this right here could also get you a classic trophy one.
We'll have more from day 2 on Lake Conroe when the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show returns.
The Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Stratos Boats, by Costa Sunglasses, and by AnglersChannel.com. Stay with us. There's plenty more straight ahead.
Dale? Dale?
hey, Rob. What's with the minivan? That's not mine. I don't.
Dale, honey, is your tummy still hurting, or are you feeling better to ride in the front seat? Oh, is this one of your motorcycling friends?
Hey, chin up there, Dale. Lots of bikers also drive cars. In fact, you can save big if you bundle them both with Progressive.
I'd like that.
Great. Woo, you've got soft hands.
He uses my moisturizer.
See you, Dale. Bye, Rob.
Well, they tell me that I just made history. I was blessed to win 2 tournaments back-to-back on the FLW Tour, something that's never been done before in its 20-year existence. A lot of the baits that I used to win these 2 tournaments were right out of the package, no custom design. The same package that you can get at your local tackle store. You know, if an old country boy like me can do it, you can too. Get you a sack full of Strike King lures. Make your own history.
There's a huge low-pressure system centered over the state, going to continue to whip our area with rain, sleet, high wind. There are already multiple weather-related accidents on the freeway. You'd have to be a hardcore duck hunter to go out in this weather. Take it easy this morning, heading downtown.
The Browning A5. Come hell or high water.
Available at Sportsman's Warehouse and sportsmanswarehouse.com.
From bass and walleye to crappie and the great outdoors, no one has ever built aluminum boats like these from Ranger. They're packed with standard features. The ride is super smooth, they're whisper quiet and incredibly stable. Check out the difference in quality, performance, and room in a Ranger aluminum design. America's fastest growing aluminum line. No matter what you're after on the water, these rigs are engineered to excel and priced to be yours.
Yeah, well, that was day 2, and not quite as windy as day 1, a little more pleasant boat ride, which is good because we saw this lake from end to end and saw a lot of anglers in action out there. The bite was a little bit slow, didn't see a whole lot of fish catching.
Yeah, you know, and we kind of thought that may be, you know, the start with this morning. You know, we had that north wind come in, and I don't even think the anglers knew how much that little front we had come in would affect the bite. So yesterday you saw a lot of the guys more stacked down here on the south end, and today, after looking at the whole lake, I mean, we saw a big majority of the field up north. Even though the bite was a little bit slower for what we saw, you know, we're looking at 52 of the best in the world, and they've still got an hour and a half to fish, and a lot can happen in that time period.
The afternoon bite has been better anyway, so we anticipate a strong showing at the weigh-in as usual. Let's go find out. Justin Lucas had a solid second day effort, 4 fish for 13 pounds 11 ounces. Cliff Crochet in third place when the anglers launched that morning had a tough day. He brought in 3 fish for 9 pounds 2 ounces. Angler of the Year Gerald Swindle had this to say about his day.
Hey, it was a little tough. You know, I tell everybody there's an amazing thing that goes on in the Elite Series, and a lot of people don't even know this, but not only does Bass host the biggest bass tournaments in the world, they actually have one of the biggest bakeries in the world. You didn't know that, did you? They cook up a big old humble pie every day, and at the weigh-in, they shove it in your throat if you don't catch it. Jordan Lee had 4 fish, but they weighed more than some limits, 21 pounds even. That got him into the top 25, but it was Brent Ayler who did it again on day 2 with 5 fish for 20 pounds 1 ounce, giving him the day 2 lead with 43 pounds 4 ounces.
We'll have more from Vance at this year's Bassmasters Classic later in the show. When it comes to bass fishing, there's one site you can count on for tournaments, results, gear reviews, lake news, angler profiles, and much, much more. That's anglerschannel.com. Here's Anglers Channel's Chris Brown with this week's Anglers Channel Insider.
Hey guys, Chris Brown here with this week's anglerschannel.com Insider. Look at our tournament calendar online. We have got a ton of stuff coming up in the month of July. Anything from American Bass Anglers Ram Truck Open Series. We've got open tournaments, memorial tournaments. We've got BFLs from the Piedmont all the way up to the Buckeye divisions coming up. We've got a Working Man's Trail, National Bass West, an Elite Series event later on this month, and much more. If you're looking for a tournament to fish coming up, check out the Tournaments tab at anglerschannel.com. If you're getting ready to head to a lake you've not been to, or maybe a new lake for a regional or a championship coming up, check out the Lakes tab and you'll find Navionics maps as well as a ton of information for all kinds of different lakes across the country and one close to you. So if you're looking for a little more information, maybe looking to find that little sweet spot on the map, check it out at the Lakes tab on the website. Guys, with ICAST coming up, we've got industry news as well as new product gear and so much more fixing to happen. Make sure you stay logged in to anglerschannel.com, your #1 tournament resource.
America's premier outfitter, Sportsman's Warehouse, should be your first stop when it comes to the latest gear for the serious bass angler. That's why we are proud to bring you the Sportsman's Warehouse Product Spotlight, featuring the latest gear for your tackle box. Here's Sportsman's Warehouse Pro Staffer, Brian Thrift.
This week's Sportsman's Warehouse Product Spotlight is P-Line Fishing Line. They offer any type of line you need for any fishing situation you come across. They've got the TCB X-Braid, which is a Teflon coated braided line. I love this on top waters, flipping grass. It's awesome for making very long casts and getting a hook into fish that you would normally miss. They've got 2 lines of fluorocarbon. They've got the new Tactical, which is stronger, more knot strength. It's the best fluorocarbon on the market. Copolymer, any kind of line you need for any situation, P-Line has it. You can find these at your local Sportsman's Warehouse or at sportsmanswarehouse.com.
We'll finish our recap of the 2017 Bassmasters Classic right after this.
This portion of the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show is brought to you by Navionics, by Carhartt Outdoor Wear, and by TH Marine.
Let's join our own Vance McCullough at this year's Bassmaster Classic.
Folks, we're here at Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros baseball team, and we're going to do a big-time bass fishing weigh-in in a baseball stadium. So it all comes down to this. For 3 days now, we followed these guys out on the water. Brent Ehrler appears to still have the unofficial lead, but Steve Kennedy, who's sharing water with him, has made a strong move, and Mike Iaconelli has rejoined them in that same area where he made the magic happen about this time yesterday. So we're about to go inside and see who's got the goods and who will be your 47th Bassmaster Classic champion. Brett Hite took a temporary lead early Sunday morning with 5 bass that weighed 16 pounds 6 ounces. They gave him a total of 43.9. That lead did not last long as Jarrett Lintner weighed in 19 pounds 10 ounces for a total of 46.9 on the 3 days. Bobby Lane had a good day 3. He brought in a limit that weighed 19 pounds 7 ounces. But no one had a better day 3 than Alabama's Jordan Lee.
Started the day with 29 pounds and 6 ounces. Looking for 17-15. You think he's got it? 27 pounds 4 ounces. 27-4, the biggest bag of the tournament on Championship Sunday.
Brent Ehrler led the competition on days 1 and 2, but we all know it comes down to the final weigh-in.
BC, he's got a 5-fish limit. This is going to be ridiculously close, ladies and gentlemen. He needs 13 pounds, 7 ounces. I'm going to ask you guys to get side by side. No matter what way this works out, we are going to have an incredible Bassmaster Classic champion looking for 13.7, 11 pounds, 10 ounces.
Wow, what a finish. Thanks, Vance, for the great recap. To stay up to date on all your tournaments and angling news, don't forget to log in to anglerschannel.com, as well as to tune into the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show each and every week. Folks, we'll see you next week.